Hi everyone, it's Joe at AGTV for Life. Thank you for joining me. I have a jam-packed video for you today. So if you're a horse lover, you're in the right place. You are in very good hands because you are going to get a steady diet of everything horses in this video. The video was really supposed to be about creating a barn space and making the barn. And then before I knew it, I started adding other topics to the video. Just keep in mind, this is going to be a long video. You can probably listen to it in the background, and if something piques your interest, tune into it and watch it, but it's a pretty long video. So basically, there are 6 sections to this video, and I'm going to go through each section in this order. So let's get on with the video. I finally put together Lila's barn. Well, I guess it could be for Sage and any of the other horse lover dolls, or even if they're not horse lovers, we can convert them to horse lovers. But anyway, this obviously is not her barn. She's standing in a regular barn here. So let's talk about how I made her barn with this metal muscle rack shelving unit from Home Depot. Let me just back up a second. My dollhouse is out of space, and I used to have a very tiny barn in the dollhouse. You might remember that from one of my prior videos. Well, anyway, I had to come up with a solution to create more doll rooms, and this seemed like the best solution to me. So I bought this muscle rack, and I don't have 4 shelves. I only created 3 shelves because I needed enough of height for the dolls and the things I want to put in them. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I made the barn. And another room I'm making, just so that you know, is I'm making a bedroom for Samantha and Nellie. And oh my God, it's going to be amazing. I'm telling you, I have a vision, and I've collected so many things for the room already, and I can't wait to put it together. And I had that same vision for the barn, and just wait till you see it. And here it is, and believe me, when I put this together, I just started throwing crap in there just to use it as storage. But I did clear out 1 shelf so that I could put the barn in this space. So this is what it looked like to start. Just a plain shelf, nothing, no walls or anything. Let's talk about step 2. I went to the Dollar Tree and I picked up this foam board. To me, it just makes sense, and it works perfectly to box out the walls. And I bought 8 pieces just to have extra in case I needed it. And once I was ready to start boxing out the walls, I grabbed my measuring tape and measured the height of the side walls. The height is 22.5 inches. I don't have a yardstick, so I had to find a thin piece of wood that I could use with a pencil to draw lines on the poster board. I don't know, I just feel like you could use a ruler, but I'd rather have something that's as long as the poster board, and that's what I did. And once I had the line drawn out, then I went and got my little knife here, my razor, and then I cut it. It cuts really nicely when you use this type of razor, and you don't really have to worry about it damaging the floor of the barn. Once you have the pieces cut, you want to pop them into the walls, or what will be your walls, I should say. So you'll do this all the way around the back and on the sides as well. And when you get to the sides or the edges, make sure you really push the foam board in. Like, make sure it's really tight like this. You see how I'm just sort of pushing in there? It should be very, very tight. And make sure you do that all the way around when you get to the metal sides of the shelving unit. It should be super duper snug. And you can see I'm really pushing it in all the way in. So make sure that it's as tight as you can get it, because these are the walls to your barn or your doll room. You could do the same exact thing to create a doll room, and that's what I'm doing for Samantha and Nellie's room. The same exact process. I'm going to put some music on so you can watch how I put the remaining walls up. Now we're ready to cover the walls. I found this paper at Michael's. It was in a section where they have various other types of rolls with different prints on them. For example, bricks and other things. I think it's meant for a classroom wall, but it worked perfectly for the barn. So here it is. So you're going to need a roll of paper or whatever you want to cover your walls. And what I use is I use this adhesive. Make sure that your area is well ventilated if you use this, okay? So I use this adhesive, and then what's perfect about this is that the roll fit the entire length of the barn. Can you believe this? It couldn't have been better. I don't even have to cut it. So all I'm going to do basically is just roll it up through the back, tack it on, and then I'm going to put it on the sides, tack it on, and it's going to be done. So this here worked perfectly for me. And when you're putting it on, if you decide to do this, make sure you roll it under the front where the metal piece is, so nothing is sticking up. Now the floor in the back of the barn is done, and this is what it will look like if you decide to do this. And this is what my barn looked like. And then once I had this part done, I had to start working on the sides. So basically you just have to measure how much of the paper you're going to need and then spray the sides and put it up. So it's pretty simple. It might not be perfect. Like here, I missed a couple of areas, and then I just cut some slices and I filled it in. You can't even notice it. And this is the end result. So now the barn is ready to get filled up. But one thing I do want to mention is you see where the metal pieces are of the rack. I bought some molding, and I'm actually going to cover that. So it's going to look like a finished shelving unit. So when I'm totally done with everything, which you'll probably see when I do Samantha and Nellie's room, you will see molding around the edges of this shelving unit. So to anybody looking at it, they're not even going to know it's a muscle rack from Home Depot. It's going to look pretty amazing with molding around the edges. Let's take another look at it, because now we're going to start on the second phase. I don't know how many phases we have, but I think we're on the second phase. And that's going to be to put the barn inside. And look, Lila is very happy. She said, "Hey guys, I have a barn now." I started with this Our Generation barn because I have two of them. One I used to make a country kitchen, which is another video I need to do, and one to do a barn. So I've had this for quite a while. I remember buying it off Marketplace for $20 with accessories and whoever the hell knows what else came with it. And what I did is I took the front pieces here, right, the fence and the sides off, and removed obviously all the accessories, and I painted the inside red. And that's something I did a while back, so I don't think you need to see me painting it red. You can paint it whatever color you want. But the one thing I did for Lila's barn is I used a, I don't know what the stuff is, varnish or wood color, to color the wood on the sides of the barn here, because it was pretty bright and I wanted a more rustic look. So I used this wood color and painted over the sides and the inside of the top of the barn. Once you put this wood stain on there, it darkens it and it just looked a lot better. And that was really the look I was going for, not that bright yellow wood, whatever color that is. And I didn't want it to be red. And I think Lila is very happy with the start of the barn. The next thing I'm going to do is make some saddle racks. You're going to need a dowel. You can probably buy this at Joann's or Michael's. I had this around the house, so I don't even know the size of it. You'll need a little saw so that you can cut it, and obviously a measuring tape to make sure that they're the same size. And here are the two that I cut. And basically when I went back in the house, I took a screw and I screwed it partially into one end, and then I took the screw out, because you're going to need that hole already started for something I'm going to show you. So once that's done, you can put that to the side. And then you want to get a screw long enough to fit through one of the posts of the barn and do it just like I have it here. Now grab your saddle rack, I guess that's what we're going to call this, and screw it in the end of the screw here. And now look, once you put both of them on, then you can put that wood color on, and this is what it will look like. Perfecto. Now let me tell you about this most amazing box of gifts I received from Sandy. Sandy is the owner of Not Just Rope, and she has a website and you could check it out. She makes all sorts of halters and headstalls and combos and bitless bridles and so on and so forth for real horses and doll horses. Okay? Imagine that. Wait till you see the things that she made. Now, she custom made these racks that I can hang the halters and the bridles and the lead ropes and everything else from. And you know what she made them from? A good quality wood. She told me many months ago, and there is no way I can remember that. The nails that you see here, these are nails that you use to put the shoes on the horses. And at the end, she left 2 of the nails sticking out so that I could hang them up on the wall. Look at this. Is that amazing? Now let's look at the next thing in the box. We have rope halters with leads, and they're all coiled up so I can just display them. So let's get them out of the bag. And here they are. I'm going to put a little music on as I place each one of them on their hook. Let's grab another bag, rope bridles with reins. We're going to take these and put them inside the barn. So let me put some music on for that. Let's get our next bag. Bridle with Monetti style reins and lead all in one. Okay. Oof, this is bringing back a memory. Story time. Let's have story time. We'll come back to this stuff. Let me tell you a little story about a horse named Alex. I feel like I just need to memorialize him. Before we go forward, I just want to let you know that part of what I'm about to tell you is sad. So if that is something that may upset you, just fast forward to Lila's barn part of the video. So let's get back to Alex. Alex was at an auction house here on the East Coast in Cranberry, New Jersey. And this, I should say, is an example of a write-up that the auction house does for each horse. There are parts of this write-up that are totally inaccurate. For example, he was not 17 years old. He was more like 30 years old. And there are ways you could tell by examining a horse really quickly. The first thing is to look at their teeth. Well, I'm not going to go down that path. Let's just get back to the story. So Alex was the last horse standing, and he was destined for slaughter. Now, you can't slaughter horses in the United States. I believe the last slaughterhouse in the U.S. was closed in 2007. But what happens is that the horses that nobody wants and they're going to slaughter, they'll get shipped out of the U.S. for that to take place. If you're interested in learning more about the work that's done by Penny Parker and her team, here's an example of one of the Facebook groups she has. I believe she has 2 more, mainly because there are just so many members. So there are many things you could do to help. Obviously, you could rescue a horse. You could be like me, rescue a horse and not have anywhere to stick the freaking horse, and that's a whole nother story. But things do always work out. So you could do that, or you could donate to help rescue some of these horses. And here's an example of a Facebook post that Penny put up just one day ago, where she was videotaping the horses at this particular auction and hoping people would rescue them and pay the bail. And here's a picture of what it looks like inside some of these auction houses. The horses are tied up along the perimeter of the auction house, and they all have hip tags on so that you can identify them by their number. And interestingly enough, when Alex was pulled for me, he had his hip tag on. You could see how beaten up Alex looks. His head's down. He's just about given up on life. A day after he was pulled, this picture was taken. It's pretty incredible how he does not look so desperate anymore, and you can see he's come to life again. Alex made a pretty incredible transformation of being in despair to being a very happy horse. And here's a picture of him in quarantine, and now he has water and hay and food in his own place to get better. After spending a month in quarantine, he was brought to me, and this is a barn I found for him. And at the same time, Butters came home as well. So how crazy of me to get 2 horses, and I don't even know. I really don't even know. Let's not even talk about that. But anyway, here's Alex, and he is a happy boy. He has food, hay, and water. Now here's a picture of Alex and Butters in their quarantine stalls for 10 days. Look at Alex. He's a short little boy over there. And he was so vocal and such a loving horse. I couldn't keep Alex because boarding 2 horses was not in my budget. So I immediately turned to some of these Facebook groups in my area to find a forever home for Alex. And during the month I had him before I found him a home, I spent so much time with him, and I have to tell you, he was the most delightful horse. He was so vocal and he was so bonded to Butters that it was a sad day when Alex had to be trailered from the barn and leave Butters. Butters cried so much in the paddock and ran around. It was so heartbreaking. My God, I was crying a river, crying my eyeballs out. And here's Alex in his new home with a woman that I met through Facebook and later became friends with. And Alex lived his best life with her. In the summer that we rescued, I'll say we, my daughter and I rescued Alex, my daughter went back to school in September and wrote a paper about what she did that summer. And she wrote all about Alex. And the teacher couldn't even believe it. She actually pulled me aside a day after school and told me how touched she was by that paper and what an incredible experience That was for my 10-year-old daughter. It was really incredible. So you might be wondering, why are we talking about Alex? And here is Alex again. 2 years ago, Alex passed away peacefully, and his new owner clipped some hair from his tail and had these amazing bracelets made for my daughter and I. Now, getting back to this bag that I showed you, the word GOTY refers to a certain style, as Sandy put here in the note, and the bracelets that were made for my daughter and I are actually the same style as these bridles. So when I read that, that was the first thing that I thought. I found myself thinking about Alex, and I wanted to share it with you. Here's a better look at the braiding. I know the reason why you tuned into this video is to learn about how I made Lila's barn. And I went down this tangent here, and I hope you don't mind. I hope you listen to it. And thank you so much if you stuck around for Alex's story. Now back to the regularly scheduled program. Let's take a look at what was in the bag. Look at this masterpiece. Oh my God. Just wait till I show it to you in detail. I'm going to put some music on so you can enjoy all the fine details of these two pieces. Now look at everything inside the barn. Oh my God, this is a feast for my eyes. I love it. Making this barn was one of my favorite projects to do. And I think having all this stuff from Sandy just made it so much more enjoyable and realistic for me, because I know I probably would have never thought about all the things that she thought about. And guess what this bag of stuff is? Of course, bedding for the horses that are going into the barn. Look at this. It looks like a real barn. The water troughs in the back. Oh my God. And even Lila, she's so happy. She said, look, it's coming together. And check this out. Sandy even sent me some poop for the barn. It's actually Cocoa Puffs. Look at that. Perfect poop. As you can see, Lila is really excited about everything so far. So the refrigerator I took out of Grace's Bakery, the white little bins I bought at Five Below. They were only $1, and I also use them in my dollhouse. And this is the utility room. They're the perfect doll size bins, and I actually have more than what you see. They come in a green color too, like an olive green, and they're really cute as well. Boy, oh boy, my utility room is jam-packed in here. Look at this place. There's just so much stuff. The doll could just stand in front of the washer and dryer. Clearly, I can't even fit a doll in there. I think we're going to need an expansion of the utility room at some point. Okay, back to the barn. The table in the corner is from the community center set. That came out with the World by Us dolls. The stools underneath are part of my custom kitchen. The tack trunks behind Lila, I don't know. They came from Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, one of those stores. Now I'm going to start putting things in the barn, and as you can see, I already put the saddles on the saddle racks, and I put something on the wall over here. Saddle up. That seemed perfect for the barn, right? Although I am going to change this wall up, so just tuck that in the back of your mind for right now, because we're going to do a little DIY project. My goal was to make this part of the barn, at least where Lila's standing, the tack room. So I was trying to make it pretty authentic. Now check the saddles out. We have Western saddles. We have Hunter Jumper saddles. It's perfect. I could fit so many saddles on those 2 saddle racks that I made. Lila seems pretty pleased with the outcome. She said, hey, I have a place for my saddles now. Let's just take another look at the barn. Can't get enough of the barn. You already saw that part, but I'm just going to show it to you again. You can't get enough of this. If you love horses, you could look at this all day long, or at least I can. I can go in my doll room and just stare at everything. Do you ever do that? If you have a dollhouse or doll scenes or doll room or whatever it is you have, your dolls set up on shelves, do you just stare at everything and take it all in? I do. I get so much enjoyment from setting up scenes and doll rooms and making everything look as realistic as possible. That's always my goal. And here is Lila. Time to muck the stalls. Look at this girl. I need a bigger wheelbarrow. What is it with this tiny Our Generation wheelbarrow? It's like for a Barbie-sized doll. The Cocoa Puffs are perfect poop, right? Let's look at the other side of the barn, the tack room. So this is what we have so far. It's coming along slowly but surely. One thing I realized is that I needed a saddle pad or blanket rack, whatever it is you want to call it. And I made this for the blankets and the saddle pads. I did a DIY, and here is the thumbnail, and I included a link to this video down below for you in case you're interested in making the same thing. Here's a full view of the barn. And this was the first barn setup. And then I had this idea of making a bulletin board and putting it on the wall above the table in the tack room. In my experience, most tack rooms have bulletin boards with all types of important information. A bulletin board is also a great way to post pictures of people at the barn who went to shows, and my daughter happened to be part of an IEA team when she was younger, and we spent many weekends at horse shows, and I have a tremendous amount of pictures and video footage, which I'm going to include some at the end of this video. But I took some of those pictures and I shrunk them and put them on my bulletin board, and you can do the same thing. Here's another closer look at my bulletin board. I added more stuff to it, and I included the items that I created in the free printable for you. This is my first version of the bulletin board, but now it's a lot more fuller. And here are the printables that you can get by going to my website, agtvforlife.com. Now let's make the bulletin board. I picked up these two items at the dollar store. One is an adhesive cork sheet, and the other is this small canvas. So both of these items were in the craft section at the Dollar Tree. And all you need to do is take the self-adhesive cork and put it around the mini canvas. And just make sure you cover all the sides like this. It's really easy to do. I just used a razor to trim it. And then once I had the caulking on all the sides, I just double checked to make sure everything was stuck on there. And then it's done. And at this point, I just used double-sided tape to put on the items I wanted to hang up on the bulletin board. And that's it. Pretty simple, right? Now I'm going to put some music on and give you a better, more in-depth tour of the barn. Milo had to get into the action and get into the barn here. Look at this. I don't even know how he got up in the barn. I don't, because it's pretty high up on the shelving unit. And look, here's my rippin' Beth. Beth is wearing a puppy dress from the pet store. Imagine that. I didn't sew it, I just pinned it up in the back. I love Yellowstone. I'm curious whether or not you've ever watched it. So if you have, leave a comment below and let me know what you think of that show. Last up, I have pictures of horses for you. This is my boy Butters. And look at him. He said, get me out of here. Take me outside so I can get some grass. And here is a video of some horses at the barn just playing around. I thought they were so silly and I just wanted to share it with you. What's that, you hear Dream? You hear Dream? What's he doing? Butters! And that's what Butters has to say. I can't wait to see him this weekend. I will be at the barn Saturday and Sunday, so when you're watching this video, chances are I'll be at the barn. I sure hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check out Sandy's website, Not Just Rope. If you're into horses and the doll horses, you need some of her tack. I'm telling you, it's amazing. The one thing I didn't do, and I need to insert a picture, is show you one of the, or maybe a couple of the halters on my horses. So I'm going to do that, and I'll add those pictures at the end for you, because after I watched the video, I realized I totally forgot. So, shame on me. And I even have some halters for my horses, and I have not had a chance to even get pictures of Butters wearing the 2 halters that Sandy sent him. Sandy, if you're watching this, I'm really sorry about that. I wanted to include pictures of Butters wearing the 2 halters you sent him. And because I need to get this video uploaded, I've run out of time and will not be able to do that and include those pictures. So Lila and her horse buddy were on their way to a horse show. That gets me thinking, I have one more Lila video that I want to make, and that is I set up all these clothes, or I pulled them out of my doll's wardrobe, and I have them together, and I just sort of put together my own Lila wardrobe. And then I also pulled out some of my horse jumps and some other stuff. And I want to do a photo shoot of Lila in the horse jumps somewhere in my neighborhood. And also at the same time show you the wardrobe that I put together for her. So that's a video that's coming out. I don't know when, but I'm sure I'm going to get it done by the end of the year, because on my video to make list was the saddle pad rack, which I did, the making of a barn and barn tour, which is this video, and the last one I'm calling Lila's Fashions or whatever. So you can keep an eye out for that. It will come at some point. It's the last video I need to make for her, since this is her year, right? 2024, so I need to get that next video done in the middle of other videos that I'm working on. Okay, I've talked enough. I've talked way too much. I know I have. I sure hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know what you think of it. If you're a subscriber, as I always say, thank you so much for supporting me. I truly appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, I hope you do subscribe and watch more of my videos. At the end of this video, there will be a recommendation for one video to watch and also a playlist, so feel free to check them both out. Well, on that note, take care, everyone, and I'll see you real soon.